Hello, welcome to today's The Word in a Flash. I'm Dr. Freddie B. Wilson. Today's subject is God's favor. In order to move forward in life, you must have the right mindset coupled with faith. When you are on your way to your next goal, remember sometimes there are setbacks. The setbacks are sometimes meaningful delays that God allows in order to bless you at the right time, or sometimes there are just lessons to be learned. During your planning and thinking, you should always seek the Lord to keep your mind on the right things. You should seek the truth in all you do, including on your job and at your businesses. When God shows you the way, He will bless you with favor that's not available to everyone. I've found out we may not always understand what God places in our minds to do. Sometimes it's very clear as to what God is telling us to do. At other times, the message is not so clear. While God is leading us to do one thing, there are other tempting matters that will come up that's meant to either confuse you or to distract you. This reminds me of something that happened with me back in 2006 after I returned from Afghanistan. I had a 2004 Toyota Prius, and I was looking around to replace it with a newer 2006 model or a Camry hybrid. I looked over it, found the ones I liked, and I was getting ready to try to make a deal on it. And I was praying about it, and God told me not to do it. He said He had something better for me. And I was like, what? I don't understand. One day later, I had just left Bible study at a local church, and I was heading home. And I decided to go by the Toyota dealership to look at their selections again. And I saw this nice Camry hybrid that I was contemplating on getting still. And I just left the dealership and headed home. On my way home, I think the Lord led me to go by the Lexus dealership instead. And I saw this wonderful red 2007 Lexus ES350 that I knew my wife would love. I was floored. That thing was beautiful. I called a salesman I knew the next day, and he advised me that that vehicle was a special order color, and the only reason they had it was because someone had ordered it. But when it came in, they changed their mind and got something else. And that car had just came in the day that I saw it. So I told him I wanted to come by and take a look. When I got there, there were other people looking at the vehicle considering purchasing it. But the salesman said, let's go take a look at the car. As I was walking outside to look at the car I was going to get for my wife, I saw this beautiful 2007 Lexus GS 450H. I fell in love. That was beautiful. And I didn't come there to look at that car, but I fell in love immediately. So after making a deal with the guy, I wound up buying that car for myself. And I was blessed because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. I bought that car on a Friday. On Sunday morning, about 3 a.m., God woke me up. I didn't know what for, but He spoke to me. God wanted me to go back to the dealership to buy the other car that I went to look at at the beginning for my wife. And I was like, what? This really bothered me, and especially since I had to wait till Monday to go in to take a look and see if the car was still available. Sure enough, I went in there Monday morning, and I was talking to the salesman about that car. I had taken a look and realized I wanted to buy it, even though I didn't know how I was going to be able to. The other salesman came over, getting ready to grab the keys off the salesman's desk, and was going to take it to be seen by somebody else. I got bold, and I grabbed the keys off the desk and said, no, this vehicle is sold. What was bold about that is I hadn't even been approved for the loan on that vehicle yet. I was later approved to buy that vehicle, and I made it a surprise for my wife. And later on, I began to wonder, Lord, how am I going to be able to afford these two cars at the same time? But listening to God, we made some sacrifices along the way, and I can tell you today, both those cars are paid off, and I thank God for Him blessing us with the favor to be able to do so. And by my listening to what God guided me to do. I know you got some financial experts that will tell you you shouldn't do those kind of things at those certain times, but I know that when God bless you to do something, you need to listen to God, not other people. We now have the titles to both vehicles. God is so good. When we find ourselves in situations where we have been denied of certain things, it may be God just showing us where we have to rely on Him only, or His keeping you from getting into a worse situation with those persons, things, or cars, or whatever you were looking for at that time. For example, your credit score may have gotten you denied for a certain car that you were looking for. Your denial of credit may have been God's way of blessing you to not get that particular car because God knew there was problems with that car. Or God had something better for you at a later time and date. Mark 11:22 through 23 reads, Then Jesus said to his disciples, Have faith in God. I'll tell you the truth. You can say to this mountain, May you be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. But you must really believe it will happen and have no doubt in your heart. An example of this is some years ago, I was in the midst of some financial difficulty as I was trying to pay off some bills as well as paying on two different car loans. These two car loans were not the two Lexuses I was telling you about earlier. I was upside down on my commuter vehicle, and I just didn't understand how I was going to be able to make this deal. I was working two different deals at the time, but it got kind of confusing because I didn't know which way to go, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get approved for this loan. Had I done that, going from two car loans to one, it would save me a lot in my monthly payments, and it would make a better difference in the long term. I later began to believe that God had a much better vehicle for me than the one I was looking at, and I was trying to make a deal. So I held off making that deal that I thought was the right thing for me to do. When I saw what I wanted to do, I didn't think I had the resources to pull it off. But through lots of prayers and listening to God guide me, I decided to make a deal with one dealership in particular. The fact is, I had to get back on financial track. The truth is, I had to count on God's word to get me back in the right direction, no matter how bad things looked for me. Even though I owed more money on one of the vehicles than what it was worth, I knew I had to act in God's will in order for me to be blessed. So I had to get over what a lot of people were telling me and make a move at that time. Even though it was very hard to find the right deal and be qualified for it, God ended up blessing us with a new little Lexus to replace these two used vehicles. God has blessed us to have since paid off that loan as well. When God puts a thought on our minds, we sometimes limit what it means or how far we can go because we look at our own capabilities, not at God's ability to bless us. At that point, we place our attention on the wrong item, matter, or person. The fact about this situation is that I didn't feel I had the credit to be able to do what God had me do, but the truth is, God created a way. You never know what God is doing when He have you do certain things. He could be blessing you so He can show other people how God can bless you if you have faith in Him. I can also say that if you don't do what God is leading you to do, you could have a lot more to lose. God can also be building you up as a testimony to someone else. Scientists or philosophers may not want you to believe my achievements were blessings because they can't repeat them. And that's what science is all about, being able to repeat a certain thing. As far as I'm concerned, they were blessings. I'll end this by saying God is the master of impossibilities. for what was once considered impossible. I can share many other examples how God has shown his favor in my life. Stay encouraged and look to God's favor for your blessings. Be blessed.